everyone, this is Sara, and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this headband that I'm wearing. It's called my funny Valentine headband, and I called it that because it's just cute and silly and fun to make. Now you can make this in any size because the pattern is completely adjustable, and I'll show you how to do that a little later on in the video. Now this is also a free crochet pattern on my blog, and you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make this headband, you're going to need some worsted weight number 4 yarns, and I'm going to be using this variegated purple, and this yarn here is Caron Simply Soft, and so are these pink, white, and cranberry. And I'm going to be using this lavender and purple variegated, and this is Red Heart with Love. So you can use any worsted weight number 4 yarns. And I'm also going to use this same white that I used on this one for the center. And then for the heart, I'm going to go ahead and use this purple again just to see how it turns out. We're going to be stitching today with our H hook. This is an H8, which is a 5.00 millimeter crochet hook. You're also going to need a needle because we'll need to sew our heart on, and we'll also need to weave in our ends. And of course you'll need a pair of scissors. We're going to be starting with our main color, which I'm using as my purple. We're going to make a slip knot, and then we're going to chain 11 chains. Now this is the width of the headband, and if you want to make the width longer, you'll see that that measures about 2.5 inches. So if you want the width longer, you can add more chains to make it wider, I should say, not longer, wider. All right, to do our first row, we're going to start in the second chain from the hook. Here's our first chain, and here's our second chain. We're going to stitch a single crochet in each chain across. So we'll put our hook through, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through both loops. And we'll do this all the way across. And because we skipped our first chain, we'll end up with 10 single crochets. And that's the number that you'll have for the remainder of your headband, unless you added more chains for more width. So there's my 10 single crochets. We're going to chain 1 and turn. The chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and so we're going to begin stitching in the first single crochet of this row. Now we're going to be working in what's called the back loops. If you look at the top of your stitches, you'll see it looks a little bit like a braid. This loop that's facing you is the front loop. These loops that are facing away are our back loops. So we're going to begin in the first single crochet, stitching in the back loop, stitching 1 single crochet in each single crochet across. And by stitching in the back loops, we're going to be forming ridges that will make our headband stretchy. So we'll place 1 single crochet in each single crochet, stitching in the back loops only. Now, if you stitch your headband according to the pattern, you're going to get a headband that measures about 20 inches. If you want to increase the length of your headband, you can do that by stitching 2 rows per inch. So now we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to repeat what we just did. We're going to stitch 1 single crochet, stitching in the back loops only, in each single crochet across. And always make sure that you have 10 single crochets, because it's easy to accidentally add an extra single crochet at the beginning or ends of each row. So now I have 3 rows. All right, let's stitch our 4th row. 1 single crochet in each single crochet across, stitching in the back loops only. And again, we should only have 10 single crochets. Whoops, looks like I've got a knot I need to take care of. But this is how your headband should look after 4 rows. So here is how it should look after those 4 rows, and we're going to continue stitching 1 single crochet in each single crochet across, chain 1, turn, only working in the back loops of each single crochet for a total of 23 rows. And then we're going to change colors to the white. So we'll put our hook in that first back loop of our first single crochet and stitch a single crochet in each stitch across. So there's my 5th row, and we're going to continue to do this for a total of 23 rows, repeating exactly what we did. 1 single crochet in each single crochet, stitching in the back loops only. Chain 1, turn for 23 rows, and then we're going to change colors. I stitched 23 rows, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23. And now I'm going to change colors so we can make this white section on our headband. So I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving enough for me to weave in. And make sure you add your white color in before you do your chain 1 to turn, or you'll end up with a little bit of purple on the wrong row. All right, so I've joined my white in, and now I'm going to chain 1, snug that purple one down, and turn. And of course we'll have to come back in and weave those ends in. And now for the next 10 rows, we're going to do exactly what we did with these purple rows. We'll just be doing them in white to make that little band for a place to put our heart. So we'll stitch 1 single crochet in each single crochet, stitching in the back loops only. Chain 1 and turn, just like we've been doing. Chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. We stitch our first single crochet in the first back loop of the first single crochet, and then in each stitch across. And this little white band or section of our headband, we're going to stitch 10 rows. So we've already stitched 2, so we need to stitch 8 more rows to have a place to put our heart. All right, so there's 3 rows. And I'm going to go ahead and finish my 10 rows of the white, and then I'll show you how to switch back to the purple. Here's my 10 rows of white, and I also want to remind you that if you're making it longer, you need to make sure that you add the same amount of rows on this side that you add to this side. And if you want to make that little white part in the center longer, you can just add some more rows here. So we're going to cut our yarn, and we're going to add back in our purple. There we go. There's our chain 1. So we're just going to continue with 1 single crochet in each single crochet, still working in those back loops only. Chain 1 and turn, and we're going to continue with what we've been doing for an additional 23 rows. And that's what I'm saying on this end. You want to make sure you have the same amount of rows on this side that you do on this side. So back to 1 single crochet in each single crochet across, only stitching in the back loops of our single crochets. And we'll continue this for 23 more rows. Chain 1 and turn. So I'm going to continue stitching my rows of 23 more rows. So I finished my 23 rows, and now we're going to take our headband, put the 2 ends together. But before we do this, a couple of things to remember. The headband is very stretchy, but if you get to this point and you realize that this just isn't going to be long enough to get around your head, you can always add more rows here. It's not going to change anything or hurt anything to add those additional rows at the end. All right, let's go ahead and put the 2 ends of the headband together without twisting it. And we're just going to stitch it together using single crochets. So we're going to go through this one, and then we'll go through this side, and we'll stitch a single crochet. And we should have 10 of these going across, making sure we go through both sides and stitching them together. Oops, missed my stitch. There we go, get through there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There we go. And that's how we hook the end together. And you can see, let me pull that out a little bit, that it matches up nicely with the other stitches that we made, so that if you did have to add some additional rows to make it longer, it's not going to hurt a thing. Let's go ahead and clip this, tie that off, and then we'll use our needle and weave all of our ends in. I like to make a couple of whips on the end of that one. And then we'll just go through these stitches, go one way, turn around and go back the other, and then do that again, going through stitches, because we want our headband to stay together. Clip that off. And now we'll go to the inside here where we have these other ones that need to be weaved in, and we'll do it exactly the same. Just make sure that if you're weaving in the white color, you stay in the white, because you don't want those stitches to show through. Go one way, then turn around and go back the other, and clip that off. And we'll do that with all the other ends, and then I'm going to show you how to make that heart. So all the ends are nice and tidy, and my headband is ready for the heart. And the way we make that heart is really, really simple. Slip knot, chain 3, and all the part of the heart is all going to be worked in this third chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3. We're going to stitch 3 triples first, so 2 wraps over your hook, go in that third chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the second 2, and yarn over and go through those last 2 loops. We're going to do this 2 more times. There we go. There we go. So we've chained 3 and we've stitched 3 triples. In this same chain, we're going to stitch 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and you can see the heart is beginning to form. That's the first bump moving around the heart. All right, let's chain 1, and now we're going to stitch another triple, but just 1. And then we're going to chain 1 again, and that's the point of the heart. And now we're going to work back up in reverse of what we just did. So we chained 1 and we're going to stitch 3 double crochets, and we're still stitching in this same chain. And now we're going to stitch 3 triple crochets. 1, 2, and here's our third one. Chain 3, and we're going to slip stitch right in this same hole. So we go down in, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop through the loop on our hook. All right, and then we're going to just tie off, snug everything down, and you're going to want to leave yourself some yarn to sew that on to the headband. So I leave myself about 18 inches. We'll go ahead and tie that off. There's the heart, but you'll notice it has a hole. So we're going to turn it over, and we're going to use the short tail of yarn that we started with, and I'll show you how to close up that hole. Thread your needle, and we're going to go right around these stitches. And we'll gently pull that in. Then we get back around where we started. Pull that in, thread that back on my needle. And then we're going to go forward a few stitches just to snug it in place, and then go back around the way that we came, and then do the same thing, just so that center holds. All right. And now here's our heart, and we've got our yarn all ready to sew it on. So we want to put it right in the center. You can pin it on if you want to. You thread that. Make sure you don't go through both thicknesses. I'm just going to hold it with my thumb. I'm going to center it down, and I'm going to go down, but I'm going to go right through the center and just go right back down. That's just to give me like a stay stitch, so it's going to stay right where I want it. And then we're just going to follow these loops around, down and back around. So, and keep in mind, you don't want to stitch this too tightly, because you still want your hat to have, or your headband to have just a little bit of stretch. So nice loose stitches, but ones that are going to keep the heart where it belongs. Make sure you get that point down there where it's going to stay put. All right, make sure that side's where it needs to be. There we go. And then I go right back up through the middle and right back down the side. And then I do that at the bottom too. That's why I like to have a nice long piece of yarn so that I have extra if I need to. And I just go down just like that, just to make sure the center of the heart is going to stay put. All right, then we'll just weave that in the back. Until we're happy that it's going to stay put, not come undone. So that's how simple and easy it is to make my funny Valentine headband.